tensions that happen. And as Mr. Kramer said, yeah, it is only when we try to address those tensions, to address our differences, that we learn new things. That when we humble ourselves to actually see, yeah, that other person might have an answer that I don't have. Maybe, and just maybe, we will find something together and in the process grow. There is a tension happening in business now because I think business realizes that they cannot not address the society's problem. But they got to think out of the box. They got to start thinking. We have to start thinking. And using another lens, essentially, to find God in in the people that actually need to be attended to. And we have the business has the power to do that. We just have to force it. We just have to get people to really understand why God has given them the talent to actually create wealth, to create value, and answer the question, value and wealth for whom? Maraming salamat.
Okay. You know, June is the start of the school year here, right? So, pag June, I'm always talking to freshmen, welcoming them to Ateneo. Then we talk to our new faculty. I always tell our freshmen, the next 4 years is going to change your life. And when we talk to our new faculty, we talk about how the work we're doing here in the Ateneo is important and that we have the potential to help build the nation. And I must say, our two speakers this afternoon, when I listen to them, I feel inspired and I feel even more convinced that we're not lying to our students when we say their years here will change them. And we're not lying to our faculty when we say that the work here is really going to make a difference in the country. You know? Thank you for your sharing, Mr. Escaler and Mr. Lopa. We have time now to take some questions. Are there any questions for our two speakers? Okay, well, I'll start. I have a question. Since close na kami ni Rafa, I'll ask him first. Ito, without, I hope, being offensive, we have a lot of young graduates who go to service-oriented fields. No? NGO work, development work. A lot of them have gone, in fact, let's say, to Teach for the Philippines. In recent years, it's become very popular. A lot of our top students, including last year's valedictorian, have chosen to do Teach for the Philippines. The problem is that, let's say, sa Teach for the Philippines, part of why it's popular, it's only a 2-year commitment. So it's easy for them to say, I will do this for 2 years, then move on. We don't know if they'll move on, but they know that's only a 2-year commitment being asked of them. But I've met a lot of young people who've come, let's say, joined the faculty, then after a few years said, you know, I want to get married, I want to have kids, I want to be able to give a certain lifestyle to my children. I have to leave. I have to go work somewhere else. So, without, I hope, being offensive, kasi syempre, kuhuangko ka na, lopa ka pa. So when you do this kind of work, there are sacrifices involved, but an outsider looking in will say, may pera naman sila, di ba? Paano kaming average middle-income families wanting to do this and yet wanting to give a good life to our families or to raise a family? What would you share with young people when when you reflect on your own experience?
First, let me say that, yes, I'm a Coanco, yes, I'm a Lopa, but I'm not a wealthy Coanco and I'm not a wealthy Lopa. I think what very few people realize is that, yeah, even if we do get inheritance, which is not happening as fast as we. Of course, some of our, I mean, yeah, it's complicated. uh, I think our parents have actually instilled upon us the need to do hard work and to do good work and to earn our own. Uh, I have worked for an NGO for 9 years until I met my wife, who's here right now. Actually, of course, she earned more money than me in the initial years as Cathay Pacific Flight attendant. She was earning more than, I think, 3 times what I was earning in my NGO. So that really helped. But I think just to your point, yes, I think I will probably not be the best example of somebody who takes this route and tell people that this is the best way. No, but I think what I've come to appreciate is in my own little journey, in my own little way. Again, relating it to how I discern the choices that I've made, or how I think the Lord has sort of guided me. Is that ayun nga, there are choices that I could actually take otherwise, and probably earn a little bit more than than I am earning even now. But I've made my choice. And for some reason, God provides. Like as I said kanina, before joining Tita Cory in 1993, I was really deciding to go to corporate world already, because nga my wife was pregnant for our second child already, and I know I cannot support. But for some reason, ayun nga, things happened. I mean, things happened, and when she invited me to help her, of course, other than the fact that she is Cory Aquino, people who also want to help her decided that they will fund the foundation so she can pay me. Again, it's something that I did not expect. I mean, pay me enough for me. I mean, it's not pay me to have, I think my wife will testify to the fact that some of our friends are earning so much more than I am earning right now. But we make ends meet. We have few luxuries here and there. But then, bottom line, I think, other than myself, I see a lot of young people actually taking this track. I mean, another panelist in another room right now, couple actually, mga inaanak ko sa kasal, si Reese at saka si Mark, have decided, these guys could probably earn so much more Mark was a high flyer in Unilever when he decided to work with us in Hapinoy and eventually run Hapinoy now. Of course, Reese comes from a very humble family, humble beginnings, but they've made this choice. And I think there are many more younger people that are better examples than me, in other words, what I'm saying. But I think it really has to come from a movement of the heart. People just need to realize, or I think need to discern, where God is bringing each and every one of us. And sa akin, ayun yung sabi ko nga, parang if you put the lens nga of where is God leading me in situations that are brought to me, that are given to me, the choice can be, pwede ba next time na lang? Or sige, gagawin ko. And in my case, it's really just that, because I just feel that I have just been so blessed. Yes, I am blessed that I'm a Coanco. I'm blessed that I'm a Lopa. But I can choose to be a Coanco and a Lopa and not be in this kind of work. And I think I will be a better Coanco and a better Lopa if I follow his way. If I follow the disturbance that he has created in my life. If I choose to address the tensions that actually, tensions that in a way bother you on choices that you have to make. So siguro ayun lang. Tugunan lang natin ang disturbo ng Panginoon.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
I think the Philippine Business for Social Progress, if you look at the bottom line, the common denominator in many places, Metro Manila, the countryside, is poverty. Why is there tuberculosis? Because of poverty. People are not aware they are sick of it. They don't see a doctor. They don't see the appropriate doctor. Still, the common denominator is poverty. So we say we grew at 7.8% in the first quarter, the highest in this part of the world. But we say, is it inclusive? And now it's good to hear the president say, we are after inclusive growth. No? But how do you grow inclusively? Narrow the gap between the rich and the poor. Investments, just like what Mr. Escalera is doing, investments, organic farming and so on, innovation, creative initiative in many areas. So sometimes we can be clueless because what we need really investment, more jobs in manufacturing, in agriculture, in agribusiness, in tourism, and so on and so forth. So what am I driving at? Professor Porter said, okay, fine, clustering, marketing efficiency, and so on. But fine, it assumes an investment base, particularly and more so if there is manufacturing, because manufacturing provides the better jobs, So what I'm saying, investments. What does it take to have investments, local and foreign investment? China's economy was driven by foreign investments. It's a shame that while we grew at 7.8%, I think we're the lowest in Asia in terms of foreign direct investments. So let's not be clueless. Let's have an open mind. I think an amendment of the Constitution on the economic provision is needed as part of a package of investment incentives. It's not the only one, but mind you, it can be the missing link. It can be the missing link. And my mathematician friend told me, Leon, if we grew at 7.8% every year, we double our GDP in less than 10 years. Rule 72. You divide 72 by your growth rate, it tells you in how many years you will double your base figure. So poverty is the enemy here. Poverty is the one we should address. And we should teach our people in their own little way to teach them how to fish rather than just give them fish. No? Company, donation, philanthropy, fine. Conditional trust transfers, fine. It's good because it alleviates hunger. And I know malnutrition in the young will lead to irreversible brain damage. And so I think that is a laudable undertaking. So I would appreciate comment from the panelists.
Yes, I think I agree with you that poverty is the issue, especially about as far as tuberculosis is concerned. And I think here is where government has to come in to make the manufacturing sector more active in this country, because to increase our growth from non-tangibles like services, I think there is a limit to that. And if you really want to spread the wealth around, I think you have to create employment. And the best employment is in production. So I think even foreign investment, as long as they will come in and invest in productive resources, then I think this is what the government should be addressing. But I agree with you that to alleviate a lot of the problems that are being addressed now by the PBSP can be addressed through proper economic development, through improved manufacturing and production process.
Just to add to that, I think really there's really no question naman about the need for investments, the need to really get companies to generate more jobs. But the challenge nga of putting all of these things together is not just, as I mentioned, it requires many people playing their roles. Government putting the right policy environment, putting the right enabling environment for investments to come in. Diba? There are a lot of debates on laws and policies that actually encourage investments, so that's a continuing debate. Business needs to look at their business models, innovate on new ideas, new inventions. NGOs need to play a different role other than just complaining about the issues, but more organizing people to really capacitate themselves to really deal with business. People's organizations really also understanding the nature of how to relate with companies insofar as business. So you can see there are many people that need to make very specific choices and very specific interventions to make something happen. There is no single organization that can change the situation. And that's what I've come to realize. And probably that's why I took interdisciplinary studies. And that's why the Ateneo education became very helpful for me. Then that's why I realized that, yeah, it requires everybody to have a common agenda. A common agenda. And the common agenda cannot be just my agenda. It just cannot be my company's profit agenda. It cannot just be government's power agenda. It just cannot be people's organizations' agenda for advocacy or NGOs' agenda for advocacy. Because if we're going to just stick to our own respective agenda and not see the common thing, which is improving the life of the person, which is finding God in the person that is struggling, the person that is having problems of where they can get the next meal to eat, the person who is sick and cannot find a treatment, until we begin to realize that that is the bigger problem and that is the common agenda that each and every one of us need to zero in and not ourselves. I think that's the only time we can really get some problem solving happening. And that's why I think we need to be disturbed. We need to allow ourselves to be disturbed and consequently respond and confront the tensions that divide us for us to be able to really respond to God's call to love.
Do you have any other questions? Yes.
This is rather a broad question that would show your priorities. No? I'd like to set up a business. What are 2 tips or objectives/criteria to guide me in the selection?
My answer to that is always, if you're passionate about it, go for it. Because I think that's how businesses are started. Somebody's got an idea and run for it. God knows how many ideas I started and failed, but that didn't stop me from, keeping another idea coming.
So coffee was your passion?
It became my passion. I started with green beans trading. In 1978, I set up a 10,000 peso capitalized company, and we brokered in coffee. In 3 years' time, we hit the Business Day top 500 companies. But again, after the reversal, there was a reversal in the world coffee business, that went 0. But that didn't bother me because, you start something. I mean, everything has a timeline to it. And it's just a matter of one's passion to do it. So the only tip I can give you if you're wanting to start a business, is if you're really interested in it, forget about feasibility studies. I would like to share a story. When when the coffee took a downturn in the 80s, 85 actually, I had a good CFO in the company that he didn't have anything to do because the business had dropped. So I gave him a scholarship to the AIM to take up an MBA. So he took up the MBA at AIM, and for his thesis, he asked me what I would like him to study. So I said, how about putting up an organic farm in the Philippines to grow fresh culinary herbs and fresh salad vegetables? So he did his thesis on that, presented it to AIM, and they said, you have no market feasibility, there are no data available that there is a market for these products, you fail. And that's how we started Gourmet Farms. Okay, so ever since, I have never hired an MBA in our company.
Just to pick up from that, Vince, I think precisely where your passion is, where your talents are, where your gifts are. And I think it's simple there. I mean, what will wake you up in the morning and say, I'm going to do this? For me, what I just want to add in that thing is really, what is your scorecard also? What is your business scorecard? Of course, you can get into a business that earns tons of money, but it can also earn business that may not earn tons of money. But in the end, what is the scorecard? Is it just about the return on that investment? That's why I go back to the whole idea of shared value. That when you create a business, does it affect other people's lives? Whether your employees, are you going to treat them better than any other company? It might compromise your profits, but it might actually improve other people's lives. You look at the supply chain. I mean, you can scrimp on that and pay them less, make your money more towards your market. But in the end, what is the scorecard? So that when you choose a business, it's also choosing, okay, what am I going to do with my life? What am I going to do with the gifts that have been given me? My ability to create wealth, my ability to actually create wealth, not just for myself, but in the end, to whom, for whom. I just want to add.
I think I have to remind our panelists that I run the business school here. One says mag-IS kayo, wag kayo mag-ME. And the other one says wag kayo mag-MBA. No? Any other questions? Yes.
Both you, Mr. Escalera and Mr. Lopa, you both mentioned about dedication to your work, dedication to God, and of course dedication to what you do, to the point that you have to leave your families for certain amounts of time. Both of you, what are your advice for a college student who's about to graduate in a couple of years? How does he or she deal with setbacks? Given that both of you are successful, obviously not every venture that you've tackled are successful. How do you guys handle setbacks? Because for us college students, we're just starting out. We don't have much of a foundation yet, except with our education. But in terms of the actual work experience, we're just pretty much rookies.
Thank you for that question. My advice to you is, unless you have really some eureka ideas, there's nothing like training under a corporate structure. So I always advise young people to first work in companies before trying to start your own venture, because then you get introduced to what it is in the real world to deal with people. Okay, some people make it with a good idea, the get blue takes off. I mean, these happen. I'm not saying they don't happen, but as a general rule, the chances of failure on a new venture is quite high. And I think you have to have more experience behind you to be able to get up from every setback. Because if people ask me about the secret of my success, if I am successful, it's because I've had so many failures. I got up from them, and somehow I've managed to move on. And this is my advice to all my nephews.
I think he answered it perfectly. I mean, setbacks is the best teacher. It's the best teacher of what not to do. So I think don't take it as, don't take failure or a setback or a bump, so to speak, as the end of everything. Learn from it and grow with it.
I have a question for Mr. Escaler. Aside from the advocacies you have at work in your companies, that one, the synthesis is quite clear. Your philanthropy has spanned a lot of genres. No? May sports, may arts and culture, may scholarships and so forth. Do you have a philosophy or a strategy for your philanthropy so that you can have better, I mean, how do you choose which organizations to support?
I don't have any real rules or guidelines. So when an opportunity for philanthropy comes my way, number one, how does it hit me? Okay, I mean, do I want to get involved in this work? Number two, how much money do I have to put into this work? And that more or less determines what philanthropies or social work I get involved in. I was just talking to Manny Pangilinan because I wanted him to, we were talking about, I'm bringing in the Rockefeller family here in November because we're celebrating the 50th year of the Asian Cultural Council, which started out as the John D. Rockefeller Foundation. And the family of the Rockefellers is one of my model as far as philanthropy is concerned because they do so much out of their own pockets. And so when they set up the ACC here in the Philippines 50 years ago, and all they did was they gave grants and funds to Filipino artists who wanted to go to the United States for further studies. So what the ACC does is just give grants and not ask for anything in return. So I was telling Manny, we need to show philanthropists here in this country, okay? And I would like you to host David Rockefeller and be introduced as one of the better philanthropists here in the Philippines. But philanthropy is not the same as sponsorship. Sponsorship, you gain market recognition, you gain accolades for what you're doing. Philanthropy is doing something quietly with no fanfare, and this is what the Rockefellers have been known for. And unfortunately, there are a lot of Filipino, not only businessmen, but even middle-class people that do very philanthropic work very quietly. But as far as the people in business are concerned, they always relate it to sponsorship or recognition. And I said that's not philanthropic as far as I'm concerned. That's sponsorship, that's promotion of the company, and that doesn't fall in the definition of philanthropy the way the Rockefellers have perfected it in their lives.